I'm not sure how to phrase this without sounding awkward, but I promise I'll try. As a man, is opening your partner's bra something that gets easier with experience, or is it an eternal obstacle? To add a bit of context, I was with this guy who seemed very experienced, for lack of a better word, with making out. But when things heated up, he could not take off my bra at all, and later he asked me to show him how it worked. In my head, I was like, wait, you don't know? So, how does it work? Would a man who has been with many women already know how to do it easily, or is it something that doesn't get better no matter how many times you try? I apologize if this is not the right place for this question, and I would appreciate it if someone could kindly direct me to the correct forum if that's the case. It's just a question I would like to ask men as a clueless girl. Story 1. I am either completely smooth at it or it is the most awkward moment of the night for both of us. There is no in-between. Story 2. I have a flawless technique. I fumble around her back for a few seconds. Not too short, just the right amount of time for her to say, I will just do it myself. Works every time. Story 3. Push clasps into the body, pinch and push fingers together. Sometimes you need to roll your finger because they can be tricky from time to time. Done. It is unhooked. Story 4. Sometimes I get lucky and do it with one hand. Easy as can be. Other times I have to use both hands and feel a little foolish. On rare occasions, she has to help me, and I try to forget it happened. Story 5. If you are face to face as a man, it is very easy to use your left hand to undo the clasp. The angle and the direction the clasp slides apart make it very easy with the left hand. From any other angle or using the other hand, it becomes a struggle. As a left-handed person, I can open a bra my partner is wearing in a microsecond. Story 6. I just jiggle it around until something happens. Any woman who makes a big deal about taking more time to remove a bra is a woman I would not care to spend my time with. Story 7. Like most things, it gets easier with experience and training. When I was 18, I could easily open a bra with 3 fingers from the outside of the top. Hook the bra at the hook and eye clasp with your index finger and pull the bra 1 to 2 inches off her back. Then use your thumb and middle finger to squeeze the clasp together until it unhooks. I have never closed a bra, though. That goes against everything I believe in and stand for. Story 8. On bras, there is a seam where the hooks are sewn in and usually a little extra on each strap. The thumb goes under the extra and the index finger under the other. Pinch gently and it will come off easily. You can always do it for him, which can also be appealing. Story 9. I learned how to do it one-handed during college, and it has not failed me yet with normal bras. However, some bras are made as if you are solving the Da Vinci Code in Braille. Story 10. We just do not get any practice. This is something you have done every day, maybe a couple of times a day since you were a teenager. That's thousands, tens of thousands of times to do it. I want you to think about how many times you have had sex. Even if it is in the hundreds and you never took off your bra yourself, that still means a teenage girl who has only been wearing a bra for a year or two has more experience handling a bra than most men will ever get in their lifetime. Story 11. It definitely gets easier the more you do it. My fiancé wears a 3-clip, and I can do that one-handed now. When I was single and into casual encounters, the women would usually do it themselves. There are many different styles, too many to get used to if you don't do it regularly. Story 12. When I was about 15, it became a challenge for me and the boys. Luckily, our female friends were on board and we really made it a sport. Now, only those with 4 hooks can challenge me. Story 13. Don't go for the whole thing at the same time. Work the rungs. The amount may vary. The last one is a challenge. Advice. Make the hand gesture like someone owes you money, with the thumb going over the middle and index finger. Now do that in reverse to get the bra undone. Story 14. When I was younger, I learned the snap method. I do not have a problem with any back clasp bra now, although if it has more than 4 hooks, I need 2 snaps. Front clasp bras throw me for a loop, however, because I do not expect them. Story 15. Not sure why this is very difficult unless hormones and excitement are clouding motor functions. It is only a couple of clasps in the back that can be quickly unclasped. If he cannot do it in the heat of the moment, you should take it as a compliment on how turned on you are making him. Then help him out like a sea turtle overturned on the beach. He just wants to get to the sea. It is biology, baby. He will learn the one-hand unclasp maneuver eventually. But for now, flip the poor sea turtle over. Story 16, haha, all of you talking about two-hook bras. For hooks, definitely. It really depends on the angle, bra size, construction, and woman's posture. If you can't get your fingers to move properly, the number of hooks, the material, and the position of her shoulders, if they are forward at all, it tightens the back strap. Also, large breasts put pressure on the back strap, making it tougher as well. Story 17. Not a man, but my husband can take it off with one hand. I am not sure how he does it. I cannot even take my own bra off that well. Story 18. It's like those finger traps. Just push them together, then pull them apart. If it is any more complex than that, flip the bra cups up from the bottom so the breasts are exposed. Then put their hands up and pull the whole thing up over their head like taking their shirt off. Or just tell them to take it off. Give them a chance to be seductive. Story 19. Honestly, if it is a normal hook bra, especially if it is on the back strap, there are no issues. If it is a front one, sometimes there are issues if the breasts are a bit too heavy or big and get in the way of my bare paws. Some of those bras have clasps or mechanisms I have never seen before, so I might struggle a bit because it is a new technique I need to develop. But as with everything in life, practice makes perfect. Story 20. As long as I know the mechanism the bra uses, I can easily manage it without having to see it. I have known how to do it since I was probably 16 or 17. Odds are he either is not experienced or the women he has been with take off their own bras. Story 21. It is an eternal obstacle. The moment you master one, she will change the type of brassiere, and it will have different snaps. Stay with it though, it is always worth the effort. Story 22. I got really good at it personally with a lot of practice with my high school girlfriend. A year later, I was spending some time at college with a former classmate from high school who did not know me well. We were just friends, but somehow the subject of unhooking bras came up, and I said I was pretty good at it. She made a comment about how she found that unlikely. So I reached around, and before she could say another word, I unhooked her bra. She was stunned and impressed. She ended up dating my roommate for a while. Later, the girl I married wore front latch bras, and I had to learn all over again. Those bras were a whole different breed. Story 23. The only time I ever encountered a problem was when they started making ones that hooked in the front. At least that is when I began to encounter them. You cannot unhook it in the back if the hook is in the front, and how is one supposed to know that ahead of time? Story 24. Always went under the bra cups for starters so it did not interrupt the flow of things. Unclasping the back was either really easy one-handed with thumb and forefinger or harder if it was stretched really tight. Practice makes perfect. Story 25. I learned how to take off a girl's bra with 2 fingers when I was 14 to 15 years old. I practiced the reach around and pinch on my girlfriend until I became proficient at it. It is always a good party trick and opens the playground sooner. Story 26. I am almost 40 with nearly 20 years of experience removing them. They still give me a hard time. Story 27. My first time it dawned on me that I may need to be ready for such a thing. I searched for information. I did some mental rehearsals. I even looked at some picture guides. I did not fumble when called into action, so the mission was successful. I cannot imagine struggling with something and not seeking answers like the person in the original post. Story 28. I forgot where I saw it. It was a television show or a movie. They explained how to unclasp a bra with one hand. I was amazed by the idea when I was younger, and it turns out it's a great way to unclasp bras. However, as you get older and the women you are with wear bras with extra clasps, you just wait for them to unhook it or use 2 hands. Story 29. I have taken off many bras in my life. I can say that I can get most of them off and it does get easier. However, depending on how new the bra is, what kind of clasp it has at the back, and the material it is made of, sometimes they can be confusing. But most are pretty straightforward. Just bite down and pull until it is done. Story 30. Depends on the bra. There was a television show that showed the buckle as a spin lock, and it has never been more accurate. The single hooks are the easiest, but there are those with 2 hooks and 3 rows of them. Story 31. People have trouble with this? I have always been able to do it one-handed since the first time I tried, and my experience is pretty much non-existent. 2 relationships, one 2 years, one about 6 months. Then again, it could be the lack of experience that means I have not really had much room for error. Story 32. Depends on the bra and how we are positioned. I have tried one-handed unclasping a couple of times for fun with a long-term partner. I succeeded once but failed miserably the other time. Using 2 hands, most are very simple to undo unless they have an unusual clasp or get very twisted. Sometimes, if she is lying on it, the tension on the strap makes it tougher to undo the clasp. In most cases, reach behind the back, push the clasp together, pull apart, and done. Story 33. Many years ago, I was once stymied by a sports bra. I couldn't get it off, and she was just looking at me like, seriously? It was on tight, but I couldn't say it was too tight, so I just gave up. Feels bad. Clasp bras require a 2-finger squeeze, and they usually pop open. My favorite was the bra with the zipper on the front. That was so satisfying. If the clasp has more than 8 connectors, you are dealing with some serious heft and it might require 2 hands instead. Story 34. Working in healthcare, in radiology, I gained experience helping elderly women unhook their bras before I ever met my wife. The same applies to unclasping necklaces and removing piercings. Story 35. I do not know. I learned to do it with 3 fingers with my first girlfriend at around 15 years old. It is pretty simple. Yes, giggity. Story 36. Bra clasps are like difficult challenges you can theoretically overcome with enough experience, but every brand is a new final challenge. Story 37. Assuming you mean one-handed, you make 2 pinchers with your hand. One with your thumb and pointer finger, another with your ring finger and pinky finger. Clasp each end of the bra with your pinchers and pull the 2 sides together until the hook releases. Use your free finger to push between the 2 sides. Separate and release your pinchers. Voila! Story 38. I can do it one-handed if it is a single or double row clasp. More than that, and it gets too wide, causing it to fold when you pinch it. Story 39. I feel like I am getting better with experience until I encounter a really awkward situation where she has to help me. Story 40. I used to be able to put my middle finger through the inside of the back of the bra where the latches are and unlatch the bra very easily. The problem is, this does not work for women with large breasts. The method for that is to use both hands to unlatch the bra carefully until it comes loose. Story 41. I think you're assuming that he's experienced, but there's a good chance that he's not, especially based on his response when he asked you to show him how it works. You also said that it's a regular clasp. He seems like a curious person who likes to learn, and normally those types learn quickly, based on my experience. So why did you assume he was experienced? My guess is that you two have very good chemistry and the makeout session was really intense. Some things come naturally. Also, the right woman and the right chemistry make a huge difference. If you're curious, you should really ask him. To answer your question, yes, usually practice makes it easier to figure out all those clasps. Being sober usually helps too. Story 42. Depends on the bra. Some seem easier than others depending on the clasps. If I am struggling, I am comfortable making light of my incompetence. It is no big deal. Story 43. It either opens quickly and gives us confidence for the rest of the night, or we need 2 hands, a set of eyes, and guidance from her to open, making our entire night about that one failure, at least in our heads. Story 44. I had to practice more times than I could count to achieve perfection in this. Sometimes bras just do not want to open. Story 45. My boyfriend and I have been together for about 14 years, and he still struggles and I still laugh. I will always laugh. Not to be mean, I just cannot understand how some people struggle that much. Story 46. For me, sometimes I have unclasped them one-handed in a second each, like 1, 2, 3. Other times, I have fumbled around and had to use 2 hands. Sometimes I have tried to do the 1, 2, 3, but ended up pinching her back, which was awkward and risked throwing off the mood. Statistically, I would say I am 50, 45, and 5% of each type mentioned above. Story 47. Decades of experience in taking off women's bras, and sometimes you just get it right away. Other times, it's nearly impossible even with the same bra. Give a guy a break. Most women I have known turn the bra to the front or just pull it off like a t-shirt. Those clasps can be difficult sometimes. Story 48. I usually just ask if she could take it off because that is not the time for me to be trying to solve puzzle locks. Story 49. Personally, I mastered the technique when I was a teenager. It is not difficult. It is just a light pull and a squeeze, and then it comes right off. Story 50. If it is a regular back clasp bra, it usually takes me less than half a second to undo, but some can be a little tricky and take almost 5 seconds. It is also possible he was with many women who wore sports bras. Those can be difficult. Some have clasps, some do not, and some that do still do not make things easy. There does not seem to be a sexy way for me to remove a sports bra from a woman. Story 51. I learned to snap my fingers literally. Pinch both sides of the clasp and push your thumb up while your index finger goes down. Alternatively, pinch together and slide your thumb and index finger towards each other. I can only perform this maneuver while the bra occupant is in front of me or embraced. Story 52. I will be honest, as a young man it was intimidating, and most of the time the girl would take it off. My last partner thought it was funny that I didn't know how to do it and let me practice until I could do it single-handedly. Story 53. Smaller bras are easier because they have fewer clasps. Once you find a girl with large breasts and there are 3 or 4 clasps, you cannot fasten it quickly with one hand. Front-loading bras confuse me. Story 54. When I was in high school, I became really good at opening bras with one hand. I would sometimes go up behind my girlfriend and undo her bra through her shirt as a prank. That said, some bras are different and some women wear them tighter or looser. While I was skilled with most bras, occasionally I encountered one that I simply couldn't open with one hand. It was a bit embarrassing to think, no, I can do it, I'm really good at this. Okay. Is there a trick or a different type of clasp? No, really, I can get it. Maybe I just need to face it. Gore. Okay, you do it. Story 55. It's just small hooks. I guess it really depends on the brassiere. The average brassiere, most sexually experienced men can open it with no problem. Story 56. I don't think it's related to the number of women a man is with. It's related to the type of clasp on the bra. Some are on the front, others on the back. Some open easily, but others require more effort or a pull. In my case, most of the women took it off by themselves. I didn't have to touch them. My wife, on the other hand, sometimes wears bras with really complicated clasps. Even she has trouble opening them. So, it's definitely not related to experience, just the clasp mechanism. Story 57. Look, after 20 years of marriage, we just get naked and have a go. I guess when it mattered, when we were younger, it was as simple as pinch, twist, and there you go. Story 58. Every bra is different, so it's a difficult guess no matter what. If you are with the same person for a while, you start to get to know her clothes and can be quite quick about it. But if she is someone new and the bra is unfamiliar, one thing that works well is saying something like, "It would be really sexy to see you take your bra off for me." Story 59. I have only been with my wife, but I knew they fasten with hooks, so it is just a matter of reducing the tension on the fasteners and wiggling. Story 60. My first long-term girlfriend rarely wore bras, so I was definitely fumbling with them when I started dating again. Now, it gets somewhat easier, but I tend to slip out of routine if I have a dry spell. If it is a new person, I am also likely to be nervous and struggle more. My main issue is that I know I can be a bit clumsy, and bra hooks look fragile, so I am always a little scared of bending or breaking them if it does not go smoothly on the first try. Story 61. I have been married over 30 years, and my wife has had hundreds of different bras. Some I can open with 2 fingers, some take 2 hands, and some require calling a lockpicking expert. Success can vary, but they all seem to work using the same system of loops and hooks. Story 62. It is a sleight of hand done with the thumb and index finger, sliding them over each other, starting on opposite sides of the hooks. Here is a little tip for you. There is nothing sexier than a woman stopping you and moving your hands to hold her breasts while she reaches back and does it herself. Optional, voila. Story 63. It only takes a couple of successes to get the hang of it. Once you take the time to look at a bra clasp, it is not hard to figure out what to do. Some bras are more challenging than others. It is also more difficult if the woman is wearing a bra that is too tight for her body. Story 64. My technique using the index finger and thumb. 1. Place the first knuckle of the index finger over the hooks. 2. Use the thumb to push and clamp the upper tab with the base of the thumb, then slide the thumb tip under the hook. This will push the hoops back and free the hooks. If you clamp it correctly with the base of the thumb, you can pull it up to prevent it from hooking again. If it has 3 hooks, it is even easier because you have more surface to hold. Smaller ones are harder to clamp but require less effort to push the hoops with the tip of the thumb. Story 65. The first time took a minute, but purely because I had never had to do so before. Beyond that, the only time it took much longer than a quick movement was if the style changed, such as a front clasp or more than 3 hooks. It also takes a moment to adapt if previous partners had a significantly different cup size. I went from AA on one girlfriend to DD for the next, but that relates back to style changes and the number of hooks. Now, it is possible he is experienced, but previous partners removed their own bras, whether as part of a striptease or just for speed. He could also have below-average fine motor control and find intricate hand tasks difficult. Had he been drinking, as this also affects fine motor control? There are many possible causes or reasons why an experienced person would have difficulties, but generally, I would say it is a learned skill that requires practice and time. Story 66. It is a universal problem, hence all the jokes about it. There have been times when I undid it smoothly, but there have also been many times when I completely bungled it. Story 67. My partner only wears sports bras or no bras at all. I don't think I have ever taken a bra off of her. Come to think of it. Story 68. It's super easy. Learn the way the clips latch by direction. Pinch one side with your thumb and the other with your pointer or middle finger. This will push or pull the clasps to the center, at which point they will release. I don't know why, but for me, a 31-year-old male, I could do this with my first girlfriend at 15 almost on the first try. It's very easy. This is the one-handed method. It will surprise them every time. I have been married for 6 years, and it still amazes my wife that I can get her bra off faster than she can. It's fairly common sense if you take a second and just look at a bra clasp. You will see what I mean. You're welcome. Story 69. When I was 16, my girlfriend at the time set one up around a pillow for me to practice with. I think the idea came from the movie American Pie. It worked, though. I can throw one off one-handed through a t-shirt with ease. I can also do one with my teeth pretty quickly. That one always gets a funny reaction. Story 70. Bra closures have been carefully engineered to be as difficult to open as possible. In Rebel Moon Part 1, we see that even in advanced spacefaring societies, bra closures are identical to 20th century Earth. Story 71. When my husband and I started dating, he was in his mid-50s and had been married and divorced twice. The first time we made love, he was wrestling with my bra like a high schooler. It was hilarious in the most adorable way possible. Story 72. Well, I looked at it and figured out how it worked. I did a couple of practice rounds and added a flourish. Story 73. If you are struggling, just own it and tell her to turn around because that person is putting up a fight. Story 74. It depends. I was once good at getting them off one-handed and with her barely noticing. Now, not so much. It is like fighting with that stress-free packaging. Story 75. I had trouble at first, but after I figured it out, it was all good. Some practice later, and I could get my ex's bra off with one hand. Story 76. I like to assess the situation with some good old-fashioned over-the-bra action. Feel around a little while the passion builds. Once I have assessed the clasp type and location, I am properly prepared to execute the maneuver when the time comes. Story 77. I am lucky enough to say I have opened many different bras. I have made a conscious effort to improve, and I have done well. However, in the heat of the moment, it still gets the best of me quite often. You have to understand, most men only have the equivalent of 1 week to 1 month of your entire life undoing your bra, and that is during a high-stress performance scenario. Story 78. For me, it either happens with a quick flick of the wrist, like magic, or it requires several strategically placed mirrors, a miner's light strapped to my forehead, and an extra set of hands. Story 79. 90% of bras I can open almost instantly. The other 10% I have no idea what is going on. Story 80. I have little experience, but somehow, when I was dating my first girlfriend at the age of 25, I did not have any issues. Couple more girls after her, still no issues. One of the more recent girls I had over, things went wrong. First of all, she probably was not more than half an A cup, and I do not know if that matters or not, but her strap had for hooks on it. I thought this was only a reinforcement for women with very large breasts. I do not know. I think the most I had ever had to unhook was 2, and I think that was all I got. For the life of me, the 2 others were snagged somehow. Totally killed the mood and was the last time I saw that girl. Also, front clasps could not be any easier. Story 81. Put your thumb and middle finger on either side of the clasp and move as if you were going to snap your fingers. It will pop right apart. Super easy. Story 82. A teenage girl in my neighborhood taught a group of adolescent boys how to unhook a bra with one hand. She did not give us a look or a feel. She simply guided us through unhooking her bra. She told us it was a skill we needed to have. I imagine she had a date who could not do it and was protecting us from that experience. My wife is still surprised when she asks for help unhooking, and I just flip it open in a second. Some skills stay with you for decades. Story 83. The one in the back is a one-handed job. When you wrap your arm around her and are making out, simply trace your fingers along the back strap until you feel the clasp. Then, with your thumb on one side and your forefinger on the other side of the clasp, make a pinching motion and voila. Should get easier. Unless your date is wearing the kind that fastens in the front, then it takes both hands. Have fun. Story 84. I honestly never had a problem with it. The only ones that take a few seconds are those with several clips. They are clasps. It is not rocket science. Story 85. It has little to do with the number of body counts. Mine is in the 20s and I still struggle with bras. Honestly, I usually do not have to deal with them. The woman is usually the one to take it off herself. When I am the one to do it, it is really unpredictable whether I get it on the first try or fumble. I have considered buying a bra just to practice, but I think my time and effort are better spent learning other skills in the bedroom. Story 86. After almost 30 years of marriage, I know how to remove my wife's bra. Although she usually does not wear one because she takes it off almost as soon as she gets into the house. Story 87. It's unusual because I am gay, but I can do the thing where you hook and unhook it with one hand, a skill that never proves useful. I wonder if it is because not many men's clothing items are both elastic and have a hook closure, so it does not become muscle memory for them. Story 88. The advice I'll give is to ask your partner to let you try for a minute. Compromise with intimate kissing while you feel it out because you won't notice it during the moment normally. There is a thicker side on every bra. It is the side that holds the hook. The extra fabric supports the internal pieces of the hooks. The hooks provide the bra's stability. When people do the snap trick, they know it snaps the hooks away from the holds. It's a trick because it is not that complex once you understand it. Grab the thickest side of the bra separation with a pinch, lift up and away, and it will pop. Practice helps, and if you have a partner, take a minute to practice and appreciate the intimate time. She will appreciate you wanting to improve. Eventually, you will make it effortless. Most partners will not care unless you are noticeably fumbling. In that case, ask her what to do and use your assets. Story 89. You need to discreetly locate the bra clasp before attempting to remove it. If the clasp is in the back, typically metal hooks with loops, it is not a problem. Use a single-handed squeezing motion. This method works every time. Once, while sitting with friends, this topic came up. A female friend challenged me when I said it was easy, so I reached over with one hand and unclasped her bra quickly through her t-shirt. She was surprised but found it funny. We had a close relationship, and I was not doing anything she objected to. If the clasp is in front, it requires more effort. I have not yet found a smooth, easy, one-handed way to handle these. It usually takes 2 hands and sometimes requires looking away to focus. The most important thing is to remain composed. If it takes a while, I usually make a joke to ease any tension. If there is no clasp, such as sports bras or pullover bras, the situation is different. I cannot understand how some women get into those without significant effort, some frustration, and what seems like medieval torture. Story 90. Press the middle finger on the strap of the bottom latch just an inch behind the latches. Use the thumb on the top strap also about an inch behind it. Pinch the thumb and middle finger together. The index finger is used if this is a big job with 3 latches or more. Once the fingers are pinched, roll the wrist toward the bottom strap, which is typically toward the right side. Story 91. Laughing out loud, at this point I can open it with my teeth, but seriously, I have never had a problem unless it is some very unique type. Story 92. I think we need to highlight that this person, rather than being embarrassed and stubborn, simply asked how to do it. That shows an honest, confident, and genuine individual. He will likely ask you how to do more things, which will greatly benefit you if you show him. Story 93. Okay, I was taught a simple trick by a woman. One-handed, right at the clasps, pinch between your thumb and middle finger as if you were going to snap. Most bras have a simple hook and ring mechanism that holds them in place. It's just physics. I totally surprised my wife the first time I undid her bra. She said she didn't know if she should be concerned or impressed. Story 94. For me, it has always been easy to slip my hand behind my partner's back and unhook it while making out. Some are tougher than others depending on the hooks, but I have never met one I could not quickly conquer. Story 95. I'm willing to bet he doesn't work on cars. You get good with your hands by doing so. Life tip. With one hand, place your thumb on the clasp side. Use your index and middle fingers to squeeze toward your thumb on the hook side to release. This will free the chest area quickly. I have not encountered a front or back latch that resists this method so far. Story 96. Sometimes I can do it with one smooth finger snap motion and a bright light shines down from heaven and blesses me. Other times I feel like I need a magnifying glass and an engineering diagram with a union-mandated lunch break before I can get the thing off. Story 97. I haven't had to deal with it in a long time. I have been with my wife for 26 years, and I cannot remember the last time I took her bra off. Back when I used to do it, I recall it usually being pretty easy on most rear-class bras. I seem to recall thinking I was quite slick because I could walk up behind a fully clothed and unsuspecting girl and, with a quick flick of the fingers, her bra was unclasped. Then she would have to struggle to reclasp it under her shirt. I do not recall if I restricted this behavior to girls I was actively dating at the time, or if it was also some foolish method of my flirting. I do not recall anyone ever being upset about it that I knew of, though, but I was young and inexperienced. What did I know? Story 98. The key is to make struggling a secondary occurrence in the moment, so it is less noticeable. Story 99. It's like baseball. Some players remain in the minor leagues forever, while others advance to the major leagues. We have all had that first experience, but some of us reach the level where we can remove them instantly. Story 100. I had to think about this one and be sure. I have been with 30 to 40 women in my life and have taken off 0 bras myself. They have always done it for me. I am defining hookup here as the bra coming off at some point. Story 101. Pretend you are playing a small violin between your fingers or making the money gesture with your hand using only your finger and thumb. It depends on the bra latch style. There is a little twist as well to it. Pops open every time. Story 102. My wife wears bralettes almost exclusively now, but I could open it with one hand. It is not a complicated mechanism. Story 103. I am female, so ban me if I am not allowed to post. But I saw this and never understood why it is the responsibility of each partner to undress the other. It just seems like something that has been picked up from television. Story 104. If we could agree that all brasiers should clasp the same way, then we could all learn this skill. However, there are many different options and it is usually dark, so we cannot see clearly. We try to figure out which version it is, then realize it is a sports bra and simply lift it off. Story 105. I am not an expert, but I want to defend people who do not wear bras. They have almost no access to these devices. Usually, you have experience taking them off at least once a day for decades. Most of the time, they are rarely seen or touched. When people get access, their brains are not thinking clearly. It is often dark, and they are trying to do it without looking. It is not surprising that men fumble. Story 106. When I was dating, I learned how to do it one-handed to the point where my partners would be surprised that it was already undone. It is a perishable skill that requires practice. Now that I have been married for more than 15 years, I cannot open one to save my life. Story 107. As a man, is opening your partner's bra something that gets easier with experience, or is it an eternal obstacle? Easier, sure, but sometimes there is still a fumble or several. Different clasp types, different angles of approach, and level of distraction can all influence. I was with this guy, and he seemed to be very experienced, for lack of a better word, with making out. Maybe he is just your type of kisser. Did you ask him if he was experienced with women or with taking off bras? I find many women nowadays wear bras as little as possible because they are uncomfortable and the social requirement for them has loosened. So maybe his experience is with women who do not wear traditional bras with a clasp. Story 108. Absolutely easier. I went from handicapped teen to the last airbender. I can untie one just by staring at it. Story 109. My ex-wife called me a wizard when we first started dating because I could easily unclasp a bra one-handed. They are not normally very complex. If he cannot learn, I have questions. Story 110. Ever since I have been out of high school, it has not taken me more than a second to unhook with one hand. It is very easy. There is no reason to fumble this. Story 111. Would a man who has been with many women already know it and do it easily? Not as easily as a man who owns many brasiers. Be skeptical of those who claim they are successful every time. They are most likely referring to one partner who wears one kind of bra. Women, like bras, come in all shapes and sizes, and some can be trickier to fasten than others. Some have the opening in front, some in back. Story 112. I literally just taught my boyfriend how to unhook my bra yesterday. The way I explained it to make sense to him was that you take the two ends connected by the hooks, press them very close together, and unhook them. Story 113. I have been called out as a player repeatedly because I have mastered it. 9 times out of 10, it is just a simple pinch. Story 114. It's like plugging in a USB cable. If I ever get it in one shot, it's basically magic. Some of my wife's bras have 2 clasps. Some have 4. Some I can do all at once, and others one at a time like a series of tumblers. Most of the time she just does it herself because if I try to be seductive, it turns into a comedy routine. I'm lucky that woman loves me for who I am because I am not smooth at all. Story 115. It does get better, easier, and faster with practice. The security level of the bra matters a lot too. Story 116. Most bras can be taken off with one hand, but some bras have different clasps. You probably do not think about it because you have used the bra many times. Story 117. When I was immature in college and dating a woman, I spent a lot of time with her. I could undo her bra in passing, literally just walking to the bathroom while she was in another room. I would quickly pinch it and it would come undone. She would just put her head down and sigh. I was a terrible person. I don't know if I can still do that, but I would be fine not being that way. Story 118. They are very easy to do, so much so that doing it one-handed impresses those who have never been with a man who knows how to do something so simple. It becomes complicated when you get to the ones that have hidden zippers. Story 119. Okay, so I did my homework and studied beforehand, so I was already prepared for the technique of removing a front and rear clasping bra with one hand before I was ever with a woman. Story 120. The first one was tricky, and my girlfriend tended to remove it instead of me needing to. Later on, I had the opportunity to learn how it hooks together. After doing it a few times, I got the knack of it. Thumb under the right side, push and lift, fingers on the left side to push straight. Once you've done it a couple of times, it generally becomes easy, unless you get some unusual bras that change the technique. So either he never did it and the previous girls always removed it, or he may be overstating who he has been with. Either way, just give him 5 minutes to show how to do it, and he'll be sorted. Story 121. At university, one of the guys was lent my friend's bra. She put it around a pillow to show him how it works. He practiced on the pillow for a day. Then his girlfriend said he must have been practicing. Bam! Done one hand first go. Amazing. He is an engineer. Seeing it, testing it, then learning how to do it eyes closed, one-handed, behind someone else's back, under their shirt first go. That takes focus. Story 122. Completely hit and miss. One day I can open it with one hand. Another day the same bra will not open with two hands. It is a mystery. I still do not think my mother knows I am wearing it either. Story 123. Take it off her like a skirt. If it will not go all the way down, abort the mission, Will Robinson. Because, Story 124. Using the left hand, the middle finger holds down the end closest to the back. The thumb then pulls the other end towards the middle finger, almost like clicking those two fingers together. Story 125. He is just inexperienced. I usually pinch and pop with one hand. Even my offhand can do it. Sometimes the clasp is slightly bent, which can make it hard. I find it annoying when it is the type with a hook you pull up because I am not expecting that, but it is easy once realized. My fiancée was surprised the first time I helped her with her clothes. She was about to do the bra for me when I popped it quicker than she could do herself. She thought I must have been with many women, but I certainly have not. Story 126. Trauma shears for the win. But seriously, sometimes a brassiere can be difficult to remove, though most of the time it is a one-handed operation. Story 127. If he has been with multiple women, it does not mean he has removed their bras. Many women expect men to be inexperienced at this and will take them off themselves. I remember one time I was with a woman who is now my wife, and she was wearing a bra that clasped in the front. It was a plastic piece that snapped together. I was able to use one hand to operate it, similar to snapping my fingers. She thought it was attractive. So I have that going for me. Story 128. I am really different in this. I have never had an issue opening brassieres, just a one-handed reach and open. However, there have been some brassieres that simply would not yield. Always fun. Story 129. It is definitely a skills issue, and he might need more practice. I guess he is not good with his hands because I was able to remove women's bras with ease from the very first time, with no practice. Story 130. I can do it one-handed while distracted. It is easy to learn if you have a woman who will let you practice. Story 131. I feel like you can practice this easily once your parents or your significant other leaves the house for a few hours. Story 132. You just need to know how the catches work. All it takes is spending a minute to look at them. Not too difficult. Story 133. It gets easier with practice, and you usually need at least one partner to let you practice repeatedly. Then you should become fairly capable. I usually undo it with one hand while making out. It seems to impress most partners. Story 134. Never understood this. I eventually reached the point where I did not try. I either tell them to take their things off or they do it themselves. They're done. Story 135. You can do it with only one hand by sliding your index finger over your thumb while gripping the strap with those fingers. The clasp should slide right apart. Story 136. I do it with 3 fingers. It is easy. If I stimulate her as she sometimes likes, I just peel that thing off and she gets excited. Story 137. I learned early on the pinch and release method. I could release sweater puppies with one quick movement, usually in under 2 seconds if it had 2 hooks, and under 3 seconds if it had 3 hooks. Now my wife wears the type you step into and pull up, so there is no fastener. As another commenter said, only kitchen shears would work in that case. Story 138. The secret is in reading old books. Do that little motion where you rub your fingers together after licking them to turn a page, except with the clip in between. Pops right off one-handed, and just needs a flick of the wrist if it is a bigger strap. Story 139. From experience, backhand can be a one-handed affair. Just keep having him practice. Front snaps are fun. Those are my favorite, and I can get creative with them. Story 140. In my single days, I would fumble with brassieres, mostly because the clasp was not always the same, and I did not know what I was getting into. Story 141. I learned when I was 15 or 16. It is pretty easy to do one-handed, just pinching them together and twisting slightly. My girlfriend in high school really confused me when she had a front-clasping bra. To be honest, this has not come up much in married life. Usually, when we get busy, she is already not wearing a bra. Story 142. Just bite her neck lightly mid-kiss. Her mind goes blank, giving you enough time to make the bra disappear. If you are kissing well enough, she will not remember it happening at all. Note: neck biting can be substituted with whatever makes her gasp. Story 143. They do not all have the same type of clasp, and we also do not wear bras. It makes perfect sense for us to struggle to open them sometimes. This should not be surprising. Story 144. Honestly, I wonder if having a technical, engineering, or logical mind might help. For some reason, I found undoing bras to be the easiest thing ever, and it was a bit of a weird party trick in our friend group. That is quite embarrassing to think about now, and only when requested, of course. That was before I had any experience with women, so maybe that, and I guess being good with your fingers helps too. Story 145. 1. Push the hooks in on the horizontal axis and then pull one end out on the vertical axis. That is, push together horizontally and then pull one end outwards or away. 2. When all else fails, just pull it down. Story 146. I have never found it particularly difficult, even when I was young and inexperienced. I am not an expert, but most of the brasiers I have opened over the years have hooks and open in the back. A simple pinch and twist with one hand usually does it. I do not think a man being with many women really determines his skill with brasiers. For all we know, man A, who has been with 30 women, never had to open one because the women always took it off themselves. Man B, who has only been with 2 women, might be very skilled at it because he learned with his first partner. In my opinion, it is like anything else in life that can be learned and mastered. If your partner has trouble with it, a little practice would solve it quickly, if that is even something important to you. Story 147. It is a skill. I am somewhat talented in this department for reasons totally unknown to me, but you hone your skills with practice. Story 148. I used to be able to easily open them with my thumb, but my girlfriend apparently owns very secure bras now because they do not open easily at all. Takes 2 hands and they still grip tightly. Story 149. Girl, I struggled to get my own bra off some days. I put my bra on backwards the other day and could not get it off because my brain would not register that the hooks were on the other side. And you expect men who have never worn one, and some of them have never even seen one other than the occasional glimpse of their mother's bra hanging on the door handle, to be able to take them off without an issue? Come on now. Let's discuss the different types of bras. They range anywhere from 2 to 5 hooks. Depending on how much she has stuffed in there, those hooks could be under a lot of stress. A 2-hook bra on a thin woman can be easily undone with one hand and does not take much to figure out, but as you start moving up in hooks and moving up in weight, a second hand is required. Then add that they are doing it blindly in most cases. As women, we should all take the initiative to fling those things off and save our men some trouble. Story 150. Sometimes it is easy, really easy. Sometimes not so much. There are a few factors that could have been at play. 1. Putting on or taking off a bra is not something most men do regularly, so it is difficult to develop the muscle memory to do it without looking. 2. In the heat of the moment, he probably was not thinking clearly. 3. He either overstated his experience or you overestimated. I think the best thing to do in that scenario is if it takes him more than 15 seconds, you say, "Let me," and take it off yourself. You could make a little show, too. Do not make a big deal out of it. Just get it off so you can get it on. Story 151. I don't understand your partner. From the age of 10, we are obsessed with women. We study every facet of you in the hope that one day we will be in the same room with one, and she will be naked. By the time I had my first experience, pinching the clasp was second nature. Front clasps are nothing to a 17-year-old with an active imagination. Full torso bustier? Off in about 15 seconds. I have never fumbled one in 40 years of experience. Your friend needs a mentor. Story 152. It is like snapping your fingers but using the fingertips a bit more. The more times you do it, the easier it gets. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.